I'm calling the meeting to order at 6:30, and we are skipping right to, are there additions to the agenda?
I do not have any additions.
Are there changes to the agenda order?
I do not have any of those either.
Is anybody else? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of May 13th, 2019, as amended today by Peter?
I didn't see the amendment, but there was one typo in the version that I read online. I mean, it was inconsequential.
Sheila fixed 3 typos.
Okay.
And then Gordon made one recommendation, which I
Okay.
also fixed.
Okay, well then, I'll go
They've
with
been
that.
thoroughly studied.
Good, okay.
I've moved.
You've moved?
I
I'll
will
second.
Michael
You can
seconded.
second.
Michael gets it tonight. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Zambreski, would you like to give us a general update on the highway?
Miranda, please.
Well, in between the raindrops, we've been trying to get roads graded. The boys are over doing some ditching in West Guilford. Hopefully Monday, we're gonna start on our project on Carpenter Hill, doing the stone line ditching that we have a grant for. The first section we're gonna do just below Fieldsteins. And then hopefully if we get time, we're gonna go on the other side of the hill, on the backside down towards Dougie Hunt's and start on that.
And that is consistent, or that's work that's gonna happen before they do the culvert work?
Yeah, we're gonna be working on the upper end, so.
Okay.
The
And you-
culvert
and
work, I don't know,
We don't know when it's gonna start.
we don't know when their start date will
Yeah.
be, so.
And,
And we got our new 1 ton,
is everybody happy?
seems to be. I mean,
Good.
Does it work?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna go over and get lettered on Tuesday. Then the radio guy will be sometime next week, put a radio on it, so.
Great.
Which we have a radio we're just gonna put in it.
I just say that because that's the big item on our
Yeah.
invoices tonight.
Substantial.
Big.
But we're just still trying to get roads, we're ditching here and there in places that we moved to Route 5 today to start on the side roads down there. So there's gonna only be 2 guys ditching, and the other 3 of us are gonna be ditching other roads while we're, grading them and stuff, so. And I ordered my first load of chloride this morning, because the weather's been pretty good, so we haven't had a chloride anymore.
Yeah. Maybe that'll feel like
So, I mean, last week they started drying out and, so.
Okay.
Other than that,
Right.
basically about it.
And do you want to take us through the Fitch Road Bridge update, or Peter?
Either one of us can.
Why don't you, because I know.
We met with the state, Megan come down, one of the bridge guys came down, actually there's 2 of them. And he gave us some recommendations on what to do on the Fitch Road Bridge to get it, just to put a temporary patch on for the time being. We got a letter, I don't know if Peter, I didn't bring it with me, I don't know if Peter.
We
I
have,
got it.
we have the
I
letter.
shared it with them over the
Right.
weekend.
But it's work that we can do ourselves this summer when the water gets down. So we can do some little concrete, try to stop the scouring underneath and putting some Jersey barriers up on each end and running some rail to protect the rail that's on there now. So we'll try to get that done before snow flies.
So one of the things that, I'm sorry, did you want to add something before?
I was just going to say, those are things that need to be done. One of the positive notes that Sven, the bridge engineer, stated is that the bridge abutments are sitting solidly on ledge. So he said that's a very good thing. He said
Yeah.
many of these situations where he comes to, he said when they check it out, he said they can put a stick or a rod underneath the abutment and it just keeps going and disappears. And he said he put something under the abutments on this bridge and hit ledge immediately. So that's positive. So it's not, the bridge is not going to go anywhere, but there are, like Dan said, there are things we can do to ensure it lasts a little longer before it needs full replacement.
How temporary do we think temporary is?
He said 10 to 15 years
Yeah.
is what he said.
So that date, that was one of my questions, because that is not in the memo.
No, it is not.
And-
That's just the solutions is what was primarily the memo.
Right, and so I thought it was interesting because what I told the select board is that as long as I've been involved in the select board, I've heard replacing the Fitch Road Bridge is a priority. And now we understand that replacing it in 10 to 15 years is a probability, which I believe would put us in a pretty good position for a bridge, whatever, structures grant or something
Hopefully.
in
I
that
mean,
time period.
so.
So,
You know, if it wasn't for the abutments being the way they are,
mhm,
I would do another bridge just like we did over on on Ashworth Bridge. You
right,
know, we got it through we did it ourselves, we put it together like an erector set
yeah,
and just laid it out there, and it was all
Yeah.
brand new steel, and, you know, the abutments were good on that one, but this one's, the abutments they're gonna need some work eventually.
so is that work gonna start, when do you anticipate doing the abutments
Try to
work?
get it done this summer when the water table, hopefully the water table will be down a little bit.
Uh-huh, and is it within the budget? that-
We can just, out of my bridge, I get
Yeah.
money in there, I can pull out of.
So,
And
one,
probably I'm gonna throw a $10,000 figure out there.
yeah,
Just, we have the Jersey barriers.
Yeah.
The only thing we gotta buy is the guardrail. And we gotta fill in a couple spots on each side to put the Jersey barriers on, but I mean, that's gonna be a sort of a cheap fix.
I mean, Sven said, sorry to interrupt, Sven did say if we were had to buy all the supplies to do the work, he estimated it would be 15 to 20,000, but because Dan already has some stuff on hand, and it's the most expensive stuff, it's gonna reduce the cost.
Right. And it depends on how elaborate we get with the concrete too, how we
mhm.
ramp it up, so.
So one of my questions was, when we finished the repairs on the Green River Bridge, we immediately put into the budget $12,500 a year. So for 20 years, we're building up funds to be able to replace it or repair it again in 20 or 25 years. Should the select board be looking at increasing right now I think we put $60,000 a year into the bridge fund?
I think what we've been putting in, the $60,000 a year, is, I'd leave it, just leave it at the same. I mean, we're getting a pretty good little nest egg in there on that bridge fund, so it won't take too many years to get it built back up again.
248, I think is.
Yeah.
So we have $500,000, but this was going to be like $1 million.
$250,000.
Somewhere in there.
$250,000, yeah.
Yeah. So,
So you don't,
I wouldn't go raise it up anymore, I'd just leave it as is, and it's gonna be a while before
We need to do. the
we
bridge.
need to do anything. By that time, hopefully,
we'd get another, but
I
but
won't
are
probably
there
be
other
around, but
bridges?
hopefully-
I know, right?
Oh, do not say.
Are there other bridges that might,
That one is the worst one. We got just some that need to have a little rehab and just mostly concrete work.
but you don't see anything in the next 10 to 15 years of anything else? So if, by saving money in the current amount of funds in the bridge fund, you think we're covered?
I think it'll be covered. Be all right.
All right,
So,
I mean,
that's good
even if
news.
we replace it on the short term of what the bridge engineer was saying is the 15 years,
Mhm.
Right.
we're gonna have almost $2 million in the bridge fund by that point
If we keep
because
going.
If we keep going the
And
way we
not-
are. And hopefully the cost of inflation will not be double of what it is right now. You know,
Because the cost of materials will be more.
they will, but hopefully it's not gonna be, 100% more.
No, I doubt that. I hope not.
I hope not to.
So it occurs to me that at some point, somebody should do a financial analysis. I know we are not allowed to, we as a town are not allowed to earn money on our funds.
No.
So therefore, we are socking away money that's just sitting in a little account. And is there a possibility that it would be less expensive to taxpayers over time if we went into debt instead of socking money away at no interest? I do not know how to do that calculation, but I think it's an interesting question to ask.
I mean, the
You might
only
not
way
do
that
calculation.
we'd have to see what kind of interest rates are out there on bonds at the moment. And there's no way to predict what, a bond interest rate would be even in 10 years, let alone 2.
I know, we can run a couple different scenarios and given bond rates over the last,
Sure. I mean, they
57
are,
years.
relatively stable, but
I just think it's an interesting question.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
So,
Absolutely.
I mean, we have a lot of money in reserve funds, and we've sort of assumed that it's better to not go into debt.
It's just two different perspectives on how to
Exactly.
tackle the issue, and neither one is better than the other. They're just appropriate for different
Yep,
situations.
and I don't know if we have done an analysis like that in a long time. Certainly not since I've been involved in the select.
So the fund is in some sort of savings account in a bank? Or-
Yeah, kind of, like maybe.
And
No.
sometimes these
It's in
interest
a-
rates are so
There's no-
low that they
yeah.
don't even keep up with
Yeah.
inflation, right? So
Exactly.
it's-
Well, and because we're a municipality, we can't accrue interest on it.
Oh, so even if,
It's in a non-interest bearing account.
oh, okay. Gotcha.
So, because like Sheila said, we are not legally allowed to make money on taxes.
And that's true for every town that's,
Yep.
It's Vermont law.
So I think there are three things to do. One is that I would amend the Fitch Road Bridge update to say that we're looking at replacement within 10 to 15 years,
Mhm.
and that we think we will have sufficient funds in the bridge fund if we continue to do that. The second action would be to just kind of look at cost benefits of saving money versus reducing taxes. And the third would be, have we notified the residents of Fitch Road on the outcome of this study?
I don't know if Sarah got a copy from the state or not.
No, no.
Or did.
So
I haven't
it's
seen
Sarah
it.
and
and
Right,
Bobby
right.
Hellman.
Bobby Hellman, and I just think that they might, because we've talked about it for so many years,
Yeah.
that it might be, so that would be a third action point, is just to share with them what we've learned so far. Okay.
Where is Fitch Road? I'm gonna just
So,
ask that
so you just
question.
go down Guilford Center Road, and it's a small,
It's after Bonnievale. If you're going
Okay.
from here
Yeah.
toward town
Mhm.
on the Guilford Center Road,
Yeah,
Fitch Road is, it's the next obscure left-hand turn.
This
after
big yellow
Bonnievale.
sign that says no outlet
Mhm.
there.
okay. I think I drive by it.
yeah,
do,
you
On the way
do.
home. Okay.
Daily.
I will pass
Okay.
under that bridge, do my homework.
Go see Sarah or Bobby.
Moving on.
Good.
Emergency signing of warrants. So, Michael and I were at the Select Board Institute, and we were paying close attention
Good for you.
every minute. And we learned that basically the Select Board could empower a member of the Select Board or a official to sign warrants, for example, payroll, in case, instead of calling an emergency meeting. And so I thought that was worthy of a brief discussion and a motion if we feel so moved to do that sort of thing.
A
So,
motion
Before
to,
you get anywhere, I just wanted to make a note. This was actually prior to my time joining the town, but the select board at the time did take some action on this because there had been a, Dan, you may remember the situation. There was a point in which the select board couldn't meet and payroll didn't get paid because the select board couldn't approve it, which is why the select board took action for the town administrator to sign off on payroll weekly to to ensure that everyone gets paid, and then the select board just reviews it
At the next
the
meeting.
next meeting. So that's for payroll only, that's not for any other of the other
and
ones.
that's in process
But I
now.
think that was our main concern, is payroll.
Yes, that was,
But
Dan,
that's-
do you remember when that took effect?
Oh, God, it was, I think when Katie was.
It was
around,
Katie's
one-
first
one-
time.
One of the first years she was here,
Mhm.
Yep.
yeah.
Well, if you're so empowered,
And so the select board at this time has not revoked that authority, which is why
did you
whenever
find it?
I did not look it up, no. But that's why whenever you guys look at the warrants, that's why if you have noticed on
You already
payroll
signed it.
warrants, I have already signed it by the time you guys come here.
Yep.
Whereas on none of those I have.
Mhm.
And that is because this is just
Payroll. yeah.
agreeing what.
Everybody says about it.
What the treasurer has said about payroll for the week, saying I've reviewed it, from my analysis, it's correct, until the select board comes and reviews the.
So, is that current practice now?
It is,
So we don't need to worry about this? And we don't need to call an emergency session? And,
not for payroll, no.
Are there any other warrants we need to
well,
concern
there's some
ourselves with?
expenses, but usually we meet, you know, we meet in soon enough to be able to do that. And
What would your hypothetical motion be, you said?
to authorize somebody either on the select board or the town administrator to sign the payroll warrants if we have to cancel a select board
So,
meeting.
which is already authorized.
So it's already done.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Well, and also, as you guys probably saw in the information for the meeting, that VLCT even said you could just informally agree that on a process, you don't actually need to formalize it.
And it could be on an ad hoc basis.
Exactly.
couldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so
And
we
I mean,
don't,
99% of our invoices are net 30 days. So if we miss one invoice, or one select board meeting, the likelihood of that invoice being late is very low.
And once we have a generator, then no power in the town office will be no excuse for not having a meeting.
Right.
you know, 'cause
Speaking of
But the reason
hypothetical.
or, that's good to know.
But I just didn't know what decision you guys wanted to make on the rest of the general warrants, not just payroll.
I don't think the general warrants are a concern. I was more concerned about payroll and having had to call that special meeting
Yeah.
to sign.
Yes, so that was
payroll
something
warrants.
that Penny informed me of, that, like Dan said, happened when
Okay.
Katie first worked here.
Good. I'm just gonna say that took less than 10 minutes.
Yes, good.
Terrific. Moving on. Conservation Commission appointment.
Yes, so the Conservation Commission has someone who has showed interest and come to several meetings, and they would like to make a recommendation to the select board to appoint Stephen, and I apologize to Stephen.
Sosinski?
Sosinski, do you know who he is?
I was at the meeting. and
Oh, you were?
I had
Okay.
a chance to, yeah.
He recently purchased the old Ashworth House on Guilford Center Road. He's had a lifelong interest in
Oh,
outdoor
really?
activities and conservation. And he has a forest management plan on his property, which is primarily woodlands and wetlands. And they're very enthusiastic about him joining.
We love that.
Isn't that great? I mean, I just wanted to comment on how wonderful it is that people like Michael move to Guilford and the next thing you know, here they are, pillars of the community. No, it's inspiring.
That's awesome. So I'm gonna move that we appoint Stephen Sosinski to
Second.
the Conservation Commission. How many years would this term be?
This is an open, I think this would be for 3 years. They have had a vacancy for quite a while now.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Moving right along, the paving request for proposal. Peter, you can talk us through these if you want to.
Yep, here, I have, as I told you, I have the printouts.
I have mine. 'cause
I have mine right in front of me.
I have it.
Wow,
You need to understand that we are less paper.
I'm sorry.
But that's okay, he's doing due diligence.
He's doing great.
I
So-
like the paper.
Dan and I did the bid opening for all of these. So we received 4 paving bids, one from Northeast Paving for $360,240. Received another from Springfield, and that, all of these, save for one, include the paving, tack, and shoulder work all included. The exception to that is the next one I'm going to read, which is Springfield Paving. Their bid amount is for paving only, and that's $283,092. And then the shoulder gravel is $56 per cubic yard, and they did not estimate a quantity, which is a little concerning. So the third bid we received, including everything, was from Vermont Roadworks, was $388,730.05. The final one was from Bazin Brothers Trucking, was $299,925, and that was everything. Vermont Roadworks was the only one that broke out the shoulder work in a quantity. So if we were to use the estimated quantity from Vermont Roadworks and apply that to Springfield Paving, it would put Springfield Paving at the third highest bid. And so since part of this work is grant funded from VTrans has the final opinion on who we choose. Dan and I agreed that we felt that Basin Brothers was the best value out of this.
Isn't that I mean, they do the Route 91, so they must be hired by the state quite frequently.
They are very frequently
Yeah.
hired by the state for bridge work, for paving work, and numerous other projects. So Dan felt comfortable with that, and I spoke to Mark Pickering
Oh, yeah.
this morning, the third or fourth time I've spoken to him, and he fully supports the choice of Basin Brothers Trucking for the paving RFP.
Mhm. Where is Basin Brothers based?
They're out of Westminster.
Yeah, we have
Oh,
Westminster.
really?
So,
Yeah, just off of exit 5.
so if I understand this, so let's say it's, for ease of exercise here, it's $300,000, and we
Yes.
get $144,000 from Vermont V-Trans,
Yep,
which leaves us $156,000 to pay.
correct.
And that comes out of the resurfacing fund, which leaves us with $140,000 in the resurfacing fund.
That is correct.
Is that making you happy to have
Yeah, because I can
140?
use some of that for gravel
Yeah,
after we get all said and done, paid and reimbursed.
and then what would the work be next year for repaving?
Next year would be, section would be to do, would be the upper part of Center Road here.
And that would cover it, the 140?
Yeah, because that's not even quite a mile. It's about a mile and a, what do you think now, from the, where we left off down here? Yeah, just a little over a mile.
Did you have paving in your source and uses of funds?
Yes.
Yes.
So how does this look compared, how does
Well,
this
so-
make that look? I mean, I think it's a good deal. I'm not opposed to it. I'm just looking like down the road. So now we have $140,000.
Well,
And then we're gonna be on a new budget after July, so we'll have that paving money.
and from what the conversation that Dan and I had, this upcoming fiscal year, he intends to do something similar to this. So there's 2 years in a row that we missed doing paving projects. So this year, we're doing twice the amount.
Yep.
Right.
And then Dan said next year, he intends to do twice the amount as
To catch
well,
up,
to
yeah.
catch up.
Could someone give me just a brief background on the resurfacing fund? Or, I mean, it's the rate of replenishment
So
and
if you,
It's part of the annual highway budget. It's for what, probably 7 or 8 years, it's about $150,000 a year.
so some
Sorry,
of that.
$180,000 a year.
180, every year the
180.
town votes.
Yeah.
Okay, so some of that's carried over from the previous year?
Yes, and if
or-
we don't spend it, it goes into the resurfacing fund. So
That's
every
all-
year we
that's about
allocate
it.
$180,000.
And for further paving, we could also get another grant, right?
Maybe.
Well,
yeah.
we're gonna be at the bottom
I
of the
think
list now.
we're at the bottom of the
Oh,
list.
because we've
Between the
had-
structures we've gotten and this paving grant, I think we're gonna go down on the bottom again.
Yeah,
But we would have $250,000 again
Yeah.
yeah.
come January, come July. Okay, that answers my question.
So was there less than normal paving last summer?
We did a mile and a half.
Miles and a mile and a half.
I try to do between a mile and a half and 2 miles paving a year. And one of these years, we're gonna have to start thinking about, because we get a lot of culverts on these roads that have been paved for many years. We're gonna have to start thinking about grinding the road up and replacing all the culverts.
Wow.
Because a lot of the culverts, the metal culverts, there's no bottom in them. They're all shot.
Rusted out.
So, okay, well,
That's a conversation for another day.
Yeah,
planning.
yeah, planning.
So do I hear a motion may I have a motion to award the bid?
Do we have to award it or do we have to recommend it?
Nope.
We can award it?
You can award
Award
it
the
now.
job to Basin Brothers Trucking. as a-
I shall move that.
I'll second that.
Amanda, thank you.
You have to get up pretty early in the morning to
Second, move
to move
anything.
anything.
Is there any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Who seconded that? Was that you, Richard?
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
Richard is fast on the second draw. So the next one is the Carpenter Hill Road, a request for proposal, which is for two different culverts projects, right?
Yeah, we got two box culverts to be done up there on Carpenter Hill Road.
Mhm.
One just below Blair's old house, and then there's another one just up above it that's gotta get replaced. And they're both gonna be three-sided box culverts with natural bottom, with natural stream bed bottoms in them.
And you were recommending that we go with Renault? You and Mark Pickering?
Yeah, Mark recommended that we probably should go with Renault Brothers.
Are they in Brattleboro?
Yes.
Vernon.
Vernon.
Vernon, right on 142.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And so they're the ones who had done the bridge in Algiers,
Yes.
Yes,
correct?
correct,
And they came in early and under budget.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they've done 1, 2, 3 bridges over on Hale Road
Oh,
in the last probably 5 or 6, 7 years for us.
So my understanding, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that one bid came in open-ended, low bid, but open-ended in terms of ledge and materials required and stuff like that. And so we don't have a cap on what we would be spending.
The other ones are a set
The other
price.
two are turnkey projects. We pay, whether or not they
Right.
do less or more work, we pay the amount
That's correct.
that they say.
And because,
And Renault Brothers is among those that we.
Yes, and so, sorry.
and this project is 100%, well, it's 90% grant funded, so V-Trans has a bigger, I mean, more even so than the last one, because we were paying
Yeah.
for a portion of it. So they have a much bigger say, or at least they feel,
Right.
in this one.
And they strongly recommend Renault Brothers.
Yes.
And so even though we have a structures grant of 175, we would use 90% of 130 if we award
is
it
correct.
to Renault Brothers. And so what happens to that other,
That goes back to the.
That
it goes
goes-
back to V-Trans?
Yeah.
Yeah, that gets recirculated back into the structures grant program, so.
Okay, and they'll be
What-
happy with us for
They,
using
Mark, when I spoke to Mark this morning, he said, the Renault Brothers bid on this project is a remarkable price, and he highly recommended you guys choosing it before it's retracted.
And do we get gold stars from V-Trans for this?
They were very pleased.
But he's just not basing it on the price, right?
Well, we know their.
He knows their work.
We
yeah.
do.
He knows their work, I mean, also their bid, they are gonna have the fastest turnaround time, a number of
Mhm.
factors that will,
What's the approximate timeframe that they're shooting
2
for?
weeks.
12 days per project, so 24 days total.
Yeah, they're, each one was, they figured 2 weeks.
And then they're gonna have a
Closure.
2-week gap between the two, so they're gonna do one project, they're gonna have a 2-week gap between them, and then they're gonna do the other one.
and so Carpenter, sections of Carpenter Road will be closed for 4 weeks
That's
Yep.
correct.
over that period of
So when
time.
they do the first one, the people who live in Blair's old house are gonna have to go out
Right.
through West Brattleboro. Then when they get that one done, they can come back out through the Guilford Center.
Right.
way.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
Is that just, is it precast concrete?
they're gonna be precast, you have 3-sided precast, yeah, cast,
Mhm.
Not grass.
cast.
Would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we award
Culverts.
the culvert contract to Renault Brothers.
Second,
Is there any more discussion? All in favor?
ah,
Ah, the ayes have it.
You might be right. The third request for proposal that we had was for a generator for the town office, and I think everybody will recall that we've been strongly urged by the fire department to have a backup EOC that has power.
Oh, is that on the page?
It's on the back.
Okay. My printing
Oh.
job
Would you
currently
like-
failed.
would you like my-
No, I'm okay.
Okay,
No,
so-
I have it
I was
right
concerned
here.
for the other,
If you want
I
to
have it.
look on with me.
Yeah, I was taking a peek there.
So,
Thank you.
and then we also have had the experience of power outages and not heat, or not air conditioning, or having to close the office down because there's no internet. And so we just thought that it was prudent to get a generator for this office. There are 3 proposals. They are pretty dramatically different in price.
I guess.
Any idea why? Or,
At least two of them are the same exact.
all 3 were the exact
Same
same generator.
generator.
As well as the exact same transfer switch.
How much power?
20 kilowatts.
20 kilowatts.
Do we have any idea why the discrepancy is so profound?
We do not. I even had, one of the contractors even called me to recommend I call the other 2 companies just to make sure that they included everything that was
The
requested.
ditching and the
And they
backfilling.
did. They guaranteed me that their bid includes everything that we asked for.
Is the generator the same generator in each of the bids?
That's what
It's
we've been
identical.
told.
Yeah.
What's the brand? Generac?
I believe.
It's Kohler.
No, it's a Kohler
It's
20
a Kohler
kilowatt.
20
Yeah.
kilowatt hour.
I mean, we could find out how much that's worth very easily.
It's pretty much, I looked it up, it's
It-
about what they bid Brookfield, so.
Yeah, it is.
It's
I'm actually, I'm looking at the Brookfield bid right now, and it's the same as the others. It's a Kohler Model 20 RCA-D.
And they would give it to us for $500 less than Home Depot charges for the same
So
thing.
how much is their charge for the generator?
So theirs is $5,056 for the generator
Yeah.
itself. The transfer switch is $1,200, miscellaneous parts, $1,920. Miscellaneous machine rental, $100. Surge protection for the entire building is $199. The cement pads for the generator and the propane tank is $250. Miscellaneous labor, $2,726. The state permit is $95, and the final inspection is $155.
And we can buy an extended warranty from 2 to 5 years of service for $450, which would be,
I would highly recommend that.
I would highly recommend.
that's parts only, they
No,
don't.
no, the parts, so
Warranty.
one of the requirements of this is that they all.
Yearly
Is they
inspection.
all had to, no, they all had to have a minimum of a 5-year parts warranty, so this is the, service warranty going from 2 years to 5 years.
5-year warranty for parts, 2 years for service.
Correct.
And then.
So the extended
below
warranty
it says
is-
extended warranty, not extended
Of-
service.
No, extended warranty to 5
Oh,
years
to
of
5 years of
service.
Got it. Okay, so I
that's
totally
what we
think
would
it's worth
want.
it, yeah.
But the.
And it needs to be annually serviced.
Yeah,
Yes, so it would be annually serviced.
Yeah.
After this, it would become part of our regular emergency management
Right.
service.
okay.
That's
And so
good.
we have no idea why,
People are doubling and tripling it.
I,
I mean, it's just a little mind-boggling.
it was, I believe, for all of the contractors who put bids in as well, because after the public bid opening, which Danny was at for this, it was all done on the same day. I sent out an email to everyone, and I think there was a bit of shock going around.
So
Have we done
This-
any vetting of Brookfield service? Do we know anything about that?
we've had a
The
problem with
town
it.
previously used their services.
Oh,
And we have had a problem.
oh, so
That's
that's
why
not,
With the service contract, we
With the
have never,
service.
I don't know who was used for the installation of the generators. Do you remember, Dan?
For our generator at the shop, when we got that one years ago, it was independent, Dave Burnham did it years ago, but he's retired and
From what I understand from the sales manager at Brookfield is they've had a fairly substantial turnover in staff within the past year, which seems to potentially have solved the problems we were dealing with previously.
That would be good. Good. And you're suggesting that this can easily come out of, this $11,700 can easily come out of the reserve fund, of which we have to spend more money?
We do, because
Okay.
we're over.
That's very
Fortuitous.
Yeah.
And I spoke with Alyssa Sabeto about this, and she said if we can actually do all this for $11,000, she said we better jump on it.
Okay.
Because
I think
she
so,
has
too.
3 other towns that are looking at generators and that don't come anywhere close to this.
So just
I make a
to-
motion
We're,
to,
hold on, we're not selecting a service contractor yet, right?
No,
No.
we currently have one,
Oh, we have one
yes,
with,
Powers Generator.
oh, okay.
And it was made clear in the RFP that this bid does not include a service contract. Now,
They say it does.
they added that in as an extra
Mhm.
for service. The other 2 companies did not.
So they want to get back to servicing all of our
That's my
generators.
presumption. Because I explicitly stated in the RFP that the town currently has an existing service contract.
Through July, June 30th?
It was already, because of, it was approved in the budget, it was approved until next year now.
Okay, good.
So that,
Powers has it
what
until
do they service now, the town garage and?
the town
Fire
garage,
station.
the
Church.
fire station, and the church.
We have
Church.
the shelter.
The-
Church is our emergency.
Oh, emergency
That's
shelter,
our
okay.
emergency shelter.
I
Okay.
see. And so in terms of service, they're providing service to the generators that are there.
That is correct.
Okay.
So they check them annually,
Yeah, they
and
do
then
annual
they are
maintenance.
on call in case something happens. So we
Okay.
had an issue with
Yeah.
the generator in February, maybe November, I don't remember when.
No, it was in the fall,
A little-
November, I want
Some
to
months
say.
ago, and they,
They were
that's
out.
when we had problems. So maybe it was fall a year ago.
So yes, a year and a half ago.
Okay.
So that was, the issue was with the service provider that's not Brookfield.
No,
No.
the issue
Oh, it
was with
was with
Brookfield
Brookfield. Oh,
at the
okay.
church.
About a year and a half ago.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
but,
that's why we went to Powers, but now
okay.
they're trying to
Get our business
redo.
back.
But if I understand correctly, we have a contract with Powers for another
Until
calendar.
Till June of 2020.
Okay.
For all but this one. So it's
All
for the
but-
3
oh,
existing
okay.
ones, not
because the
for this
service
one.
contract goes
Yes.
with this contract.
So we'll see what happens in
Yes.
the budget next year for the other,
When we, if and when we award, I'm going to make a motion that we do award the contract to them, but if and when we do award the contract to them, can we write a letter that states that we are awarding this contract, and we understand that your service is improved or something like that? I mean,
I don't know that that's necessary. I think what my personal opinion would be is award the contract based on what the RFP was.
Right.
And then at next year, when we start doing the budget planning for next year, the select board can make a decision to put out a new RFP for
For service
for a
provider.
service provider for that, because by that point, we'll have had the same one for 3 years,
Mhm.
and it would be good to see what
Right.
is out there.
yeah. So I move that we award the contractor for the generator for the town offices to Brookfield Service.
I'll second that.
and add the $450 for the extended
With,
service.
including the extended warranty service contract.
Second that as well.
Thank you. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Can I add that I just think it's a very good move that we're putting a generator in
Me
the
too.
offices.
And everyone in the office thinks it's a great idea. We did get some outage information from Green Mountain Power, and we've had 13 different outages in the past year.
Just at this building?
just in this building. Yeah, the shortest one was for 6 hours.
Last night it
Yeah,
went off
maybe.
at my house just like, it was the quickest, it was like a bolt of lightning, boing, and everything went out, but I have a generator.
No, it happened at
Wait,
my house
yeah.
too because, things were flashing. I mean, we're living in this era of
Tentativity?
climate events.
Yes.
I'm sorry, who seconded that one?
I do.
Thank you, Michael.
My colleague Michael.
So we are now looking at a little report from you on your Thursday events.
I did. So last Thursday, if anyone wants to see, here's the little brochure from the event. Last Thursday was the Southern Vermont, 3rd Annual Southern Vermont Economy Summit, which was put on jointly by Brattleboro Development Credit Corp. As well as the Bennington County, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the name all of a sudden. It's very similar to BDCC.
Industrial Corporation?
Yes, thank you.
Right here,
Bennington
I
County.
was staring
She
at it.
was cheating.
Thank you. So a couple of months ago, BDCC, a couple of the employees at BDCC asked if I would facilitate the connectivity breakfast that was going to happen before the summit. And so I spoke with Sheila and she encouraged me to do so. And so this was to, partly because of Guilford's involvement in trying to find solutions to both internet and cell phone connectivity in the southern part of the state, which we almost, so yeah. So the breakfast, I think was not, it was good. It wasn't as productive, I think, as a lot of people were hoping, and we had limited time before the main event started. It started with an update on House Bill 513. That was done, a very well done update from Karen Horn of VLCT, because unfortunately our legislators were still in session last week and were not able to make it. The bill has finally passed the Senate, albeit the fact that it has been amended quite a bit from the House bill. And so there were,
What's the bill? I mean, in summary.
Some funding for
It's-
some projects.
it's some funding for feasibility studies, as well as some low-interest loans for projects to begin throughout the entire state, as well as funding to hire a staff person, at the state level to help municipalities tackle these issues.
And that would
which
be
is-
under the DPS,
That's
the Clay
correct.
Purvis?
That would be, this role would be under Clay Purvis, correct.
Good.
So they feel like we're moving forward in this kind of stalemate dance that we're doing between the FCC and the telecom companies. So it's not as great as everyone was hoping, but it's better than nothing. Then Haley Pirro from Senator Sanders' Burlington office gave an update on what Bernie has been trying to push at the federal level. And he's been very active on trying to solve this issue. Unfortunately, the majority of the rest of our federal representatives haven't been doing a whole lot. So she was saying that Bernie's kind of feeling like he's up against a brick wall at the moment with this topic.
Not the rest of our Vermont,
Not our Vermont representatives.
because
but-
I know Peter Welch's office is also very active.
Yes.
Okay.
Our Vermont representatives have been working very hard, all three of them, to tackle the topic. It's those from other states who don't really care too much about it. Yeah. There were supposed to be a series of 5 panelists that we were supposed to have a Q&A with, and unfortunately, half of them didn't show up. And so it ended up mostly being a discussion by a representative from Consolidated Communications who showed up a little late to the breakfast, and so it was kind of annoying those of us who actually were there on time.
Who was there from Consolidated?
Jeff Austin. So, there were some people that I think had some really great questions that unfortunately didn't get answered because the conversation was dominated by a couple individuals, unfortunately.
But you were facilitating.
I was, But I wasn't gonna be rude either.
No, facilitation means that you don't let people be aggressive though.
Moving along.
Doesn't it?
It does. It's sometimes that's more difficult to do than it sounds on paper. Anyhow, without needing to drag this on because of someone's birthday party later today, I went to a couple of different workshops. The first one I went to was on envisioning a tech-enabled rural economy. It was very interesting. I'll share more with the select board because I don't want to. I know we have
You
limited
have a
time.
report, right?
I do have a report
That's great.
written up,
Yeah.
and I'll share it. And the gentleman, the big thing I wanted to talk about is the gentleman who was the keynote speaker. Had a lot of hype about him prior, and I can see why. He was really, really great speaker, and he gave me some really good things that I want to talk with the select board about, thinking about future planning for Guilford, specifically how we look at our grand list and how we use our taxes to fund what happens in the town, and how we can better think about how we use our taxes and a variety of different things.
Was his thesis future planning? Yeah.
Yep, it was really fascinating, and if nothing else, it gives some points to think about. And one of the big things that he talked about is most communities, and he gave probably 20 examples that his company has.
What's this company again? Sorry.
It is called
Urban 3
Urban 3
LLC.
LLC from Asheville, North Carolina. And he said he has hundreds of examples from across the country. But one of what he sees as the big downfalls in municipalities is that they list their roads and highways as an asset. But his point is that they're actually a liability, because he said, what kind of asset do you continually just dump money into, but you don't get any money out of it?
That's interesting.
And he said we all need roads and highways. He said he's not disagreeing with that. He said the people who maintain them across the country do a great job, but from a financial standpoint, we need to rethink how we look at them. And he had some really interesting points to think about. So I was really impressed. I went to the very first one that they had 2 years ago, and they have dramatically stepped up. They being BDCC have dramatically stepped up their game on this conference, and I think I by far took a lot away from here that I want to share more.
Well, let's make an occasion where you do share that.
with the select board.
And I would suggest that we invite at least Sarah Coffey, who is very engaged in this issue and very enthusiastic about the legislature that's just passed, and wants to keep the momentum going. So I don't know if there are other people that we would, I think maybe we should have one select board meeting devoted to this topic
Mhm.
in the near future.
And would we want to invite somebody from the planning commission?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Planning board,
Planning Commission.
Planning Commission,
planning
yeah.
commission.
Yeah. Peter, thank you, and I'd like to see that report in
Yep.
writing, and I'll put it into the files folder where you can.
Yeah, I will.
um,
But yeah, it was really worth it. I was really glad that I had the
Great.
opportunity to go.
I'd like to see if there were materials from either Jim, the keynote speaker, or
Joseph Minakazi.
Yeah,
The only materials we had are what Veranda's looking at, and you're welcome
okay.
to
Yeah, I'd like to look at it.
look at it.
So.
Are you talking about a meeting devoted to the grand list, like
No, just to
strategy or
understanding,
connectivity?
to
or-
like, so we, in 2016,
Yeah.
we started exploring how to get faster access to faster internet service in Guilford. And we started working with Vernon. Gordon and I were on that subcommittee, and it's sort of gone as we come against obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. So then we've been working with SEVIS and BDCC and involved in like conferences and been to connectivity summits and communicating with Peter Welch and our local representatives and stuff like that, and just trying to understand, a lot of Guilford doesn't meet the minimum requirements as you guys have it out there, I'm just gonna say. But My house has 3 megabytes a second. And a teenager that plays games. Sorry, so we came to our.
Not a happy teenager who plays.
Probably not a happy teenager who plays games. So anyway, that's our whole entire road, 21 houses. So there's like disparate places in town, and it's impossible for people to do business out of their houses.
Part of the complexity with it
Challenge.
as well is that the only data that we can use to work against this is data that the telecom companies submit to the FCC, and then the FCC shares that with the State Department of Public Service. And so it's kind of this backwards way of doing it. And so even though the telecom companies say that a majority of all but 17% of, or something, some number like that, of Guilford are serviced with 25 megabytes or faster, the reality on the
not true.
ground is most people know that's not true.
So thank you for doing that. I'm happy that you had a good day. Really, I think we should just see if we can keep a little momentum going in town.
Definitely.
And I would ask Sarah who she might recommend would like to be involved in. And I think we should just set aside a meeting where
I
we
agree.
spend some time talking about that.
It's the only way it's gonna get done.
But I'll elaborate. I do have a memo written, but since I didn't get a chance to go into all of it,
Yeah.
I'll expand on the memo so you guys can have some more information.
Sure,
that would be great.
So the last 10 minutes of your time, 5 minutes, the question before the issue is the constable. What should we do in Guilford about not having a constable? We're required to have a constable. We cannot find anybody. We might be able to find somebody were it not for the current requirement that the constable has law enforcement responsibilities, which is 151 hours of training before you can be certified to be a constable. So maybe that's the hurdle that we have to,
The recruitment hurdle.
the recruitment hurdle. So it is possible for towns in Vermont to have a constable with no law enforcement authority.
What else would be left for responsibilities? There's
God
animal
knows.
control.
I don't know, like
Yeah.
dealing with dogs.
Animal control and maintaining order at town meeting are the two main things.
It's kind of, it would be more of a titular role than a,
Well, so the question that came up for me though is, just to think about, is if it was put before the town to remove those responsibilities, are we gonna have an even more difficult time to finding someone to fill that role, because someone's gonna be wondering.
why
what's-
bother?
Why bother? What's
Well,
the
and-
purpose?
So,
If we didn't have a constable, is there an alternative of having more state police time in the
We-
town?
No. Well, yeah, we can pay the state police however many hours we wish to pay them.
Mhm.
But state law, and this was reinforced by VLCT, requires that we have a constable. It is not an option.
Oh,
So I think at least we wouldn't have that recruitment hurdle of certification if somebody wanted
Correct.
to. So we can't make that decision. This is a decision that we have to say, we have to ask the town if they're willing to do this. And I'm merely proposing that we agree to put the question to the town at the next town meeting of what to do about this, so that we are seen to be moving on this. While we still are, we keep trying to recruit, but we could ask the town, the residents, if they want to do away with law enforcement responsibilities, and maybe that would make our job of recruiting and thus meeting the requirements of the law
So I have a
more
question.
accessible, more successful.
Why, considering the remainder of the job description, why wouldn't this be called animal control officer? Or what is the distinction?
but we need it to be called constable because the state law requires that we have a constable.
They're two separate roles by definition in state statute. And the dog officer has different authority than a constable does, and vice versa. And the dog officer has no authority at town meeting day, for example, to keep order. amongst other things.
So I think what we would need to do is agree that we want to ask this question and then look at the current role versus the proposed
Okay.
role so that it
Yes.
is made clear to
Excellent.
residents. And I just merely thought we should get that, that's kind of like a housekeeping item. Get
I'm
it-
a little unclear. A constable is a requirement, but if the citizens decide they no longer want one, then it's an option to.
No, you have to have a constable.
Doesn't have to be a law.
Either it is a
Doesn't have
law.
to be a law enforcement constable, but it has to be a constable,
Oh.
but not necessarily with law
Oh,
enforcement.
that's what we'd be putting
powers and
forward
training.
is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
sort of removal of.
So back in, I don't remember the exact year, the early 60s, at town meeting in Guilford, the residents voted to give the constable in Guilford law enforcement authority, which then has all these other rights and responsibilities and training associated with it that have increased substantially in, the past 50 years.
So I agree that we should bring it to the town. Making sure that it's, do I need a motion? I so move that we bring the issue of the constable.
Would that be the job description of the constable?
The role
We
of the constable.
A discussion of the role of the constable in the town of Guilford.
Seems likely
To
someone
town
would be
meeting.
more interested if they didn't have to undergo
Sure.
hours and
Right.
hours.
Mhm. It's a
I'll
lot of
second
work.
that, whatever it said.
You got that, Peter?
Yes.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I went through the warrants. Would you all like me to do the warrants tonight?
Sure.
See you all later.
Thanks, Dan.
Bye, Danny, thank you.
See you tomorrow.
So, we're gonna make it. I move that we approve payroll for the week ending 5/19/2019 in the amount of $7,006.98. Payroll for the week ending 5/26/2019 in the amount of $6,119.63. Expense warrant 1922 in the amount of $111,867.70. Expense warrant FW 22 in the amount of $49. Expense warrant R 122 in the amount of $11,008.20. And expense warrant RE 22 in the amount of $129.04, for a total of $126,280.55.
Isn't
Well, I
that,
shall
isn't that,
second that.
isn't that $1,108.20?
That's correct. I was
Yes.
Sorry, did I read it wrong?
Yes.
Yes.
Heavens, thank you. I stand corrected. And the big ticket item is the new truck, which was about
Oh, yes.
98,000 out of the 100, or 99,000 out of the $111,000.
That's correct.
I second.
You second? Any discussion?
I thought I seconded.
Oh, you did?
She already
I'm
did
sorry.
second.
I
I
defer
already-
to you, Veranda Porch.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We will sign, you may not leave without signing.
No, I'm going to sign.
Start. There's like six,
There's seven.
1, 2, 3, 4,
seven.
5, 6.
6? Oh, yeah, sorry.
Peter, do we have communications tonight?
We do have a few communications. I will be very brief with them. The first is the Department of Forest, Parks and Recreations pursuant to Title 10 VSA, Section 6302D, wanted to notify the Select Board that they have acquired a conservation easement on 3.4 plus or minus acres in the town of Guilford from James W. and Carlan and Catherine A. Mason.
Could
So-
you just say that again, please?
The Department of Forest, Parks and Recreation purchased a conservation easement of what is known as the Carlin Mason property.
Oh, okay, I get it now.
Over on Green River Road.
Yeah, thank you.
And so there are many people over there that are very happy about that. That will no longer be developed. It will remain a floodplain in perpetuity.
How many acres is it?
3.48.
Excellent.
Is that the island
That
that
is
was
correct.
created? Yeah.
Yep, that's the island that was created. The long-term intention is to potentially make it into like a public picnic
Oh,
park
really?
spot.
Yes, that's
There's
right.
numerous steps have to happen for that to, so it's not that yet, but it's now preserved in perpetuity. The deputies and staff of the Wyndham County Sheriff's Office request the honor of the Select Board at a farewell reception for Sheriff
Oh,
Keith Clark, who is retiring. So if the Select Board wishes to attend, I need to RSVP for you on or before June 6th. They're requesting donations of $20.
When is the,
The event is June 15th from noon to 4. So you guys can think about that and let me know.
Okay?
And last but not least, the select board had already approved a contract with Expert Lawn Care, like, to renew it. You approved it for 3 years,
yeah,
for him to mow the town buildings. And so we have a copy of that signed by Tyler,
Just
but
keep
I need
those
signatures from
together.
select board members on, I believe, 3 different pages. So please make sure you sign all of them.
Okay.
And that is all I have.
Okay, so here,
is
this
this
is,
going into your newly reconstituted
It is the newly recreated contract folder.
Excellent.
because now we'll have way many contracts looking at.
And it is actually being kept in duplicate now. I have a copy and Penny is keeping a copy for our annual,
let's see, have we
audit.
signed this yet?
No,
you have not, no, those two
Okay.
have. And that's all I have.
Well, thank you so much.
so on the meeting on the 10th, I will not, likely not be here.
Where's the,
Are you my co-chair?
oh,
I'm just telling you that.
sorry.
You can discuss that after we
Yeah.
adjourn.
Yeah. I move that we adjourn.
I second.
At 7:31.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye.